Hello and welcome to another edition of Forkful of Noodles. I'm Krish Mohan. We all love the movies where the cop goes above and beyond the law to get the criminal that he's been chasing for years. After he has to turn in his gun and badge, he becomes a vigilante. He goes into the crime lord's lair, and there's a huge shootout. Bullets are flying everywhere. A whole city block is burned to the ground. And at the end, there's a big climactic fight where the cop shoots the crime lord right in the face and doesn't get convicted for any of the crimes that he just committed. We love it because it's a great fantasy to think that cops have that much power. The fantasy that a cop can be both within and above the law. Well, now, thanks to the Supreme Court, they can. In a 5-3 ruling, the Supreme Court says that evidence obtained by an illegal search cannot be dismissed in a court case. That's right. The cop that caused all that property destruction to find those drugs in that crime lord's house is completely okay, and his revenge-based violence actually gets him a Medal of Honor, both the award and the Xbox game. This means that if a cop has a hunch or an instinct about something, they can stop you, run your ID, and if you have any outstanding warrants, they can book and detain you. You basically have to do almost nothing to be searched by the cops now. You can sneeze, and they can say, well, that's how a cokehead sneezes, and have probable cause to search you. Here's one of the issues, right? About 30% of people have outstanding warrants, whether it's for a small crime or a large one. So basically, 1/3 of people can get arrested at any time, even if we're doing nothing wrong and following the rules. This is the first time in our history where jaywalking is a legitimate crime. You can also be searched if you have an outstanding traffic or parking ticket. This makes me think that all of this was just orchestrated by the parking authority, trying to get people to take them seriously, which we're never going to do that, okay? We've all been a victim of the parking lobby. If someone is late by 2 minutes to get to their car, there's no reason to give them a $50 ticket. Okay, you hear me, Chuck? All right? You're not a real cop. You're like one step above a mall cop. Just be cool and stop ruining people's days. You're taking a very small amount of power way too far. Justice Sotomayor dissented on this ruling along with Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Kagan. Justice Sotomayor says it strengthens the racial profiling of police stops, and it absolutely does. If you're a racist cop that thinks that all black people sell crack out of their El Camino, or all brown people are secretly walking around with bombs strapped to their chests, now that intuition is good enough for any citizen to be stopped and frisked. That's right, stop and frisk is back. This is like Stop and Frisk 2.0. Stop and frisk, now with even less civil rights. For pervy cops, it's Stop and Frisk, the Prince music video edition. And for minority cops, it's Stop and Frisk, the self-hate edition. The double standard is if you're a regular citizen and think your partner is cheating on you because of intuition, you're considered crazy. I'm not crazy. I know Janine is cheating on me because she's always hanging out with other dudes, and I'm fairly certain I saw her licking a dude at a club once. That's intuition and evidence, but cops are totally allowed to make legal judgment calls over a feeling instead of objective evidence. This is a misuse of power. Have none of the justices seen any of the Spider-Man movies? They only rebooted it 12 times. Okay, so just in case you were too busy figuring out what rulings to approve that are going to take away civil liberties from citizens, it's with great power comes great responsibility. And at this point, cops have close to unlimited power, and with that much power, most people get corrupted. That's like letting a 5-year-old run loose in a candy store. It's going to be chaos, and someone is going to pass out of a sugar overdose and get diabetes. Now, not all cops are racist, sexist, or bad people, but because of this ruling, the average citizen are now going to be on edge around all cops, including the one that just want to do their job. It's making it harder for cops to be trusted in these communities with laws like this and the lack of prosecution on cops that commit a crime. Trust is vital for law enforcement in this climate. You want to look at a cop and know that they have your best interest in mind. It's protect and serve, not search and project your shitty relationship with your dad at your job. As much as we would like to trust the police, this law shows that cops have no reason to trust the public. We're all guilty before we're proven innocent. We are guilty because of our fashion statements, skin color, music choices, the way we walk, and the slang we use. We can't trust a system that allows police officers to use violence as a means to search, solicit sex, shoot the innocent, arrest you for liking the new Bieber album, and get away with it. Sure, now they can say that cops don't trust the public because we're making it difficult for them to do their jobs, but we'd have no reason to Instagram your badge number if your reasoning for stopping people wasn't "I didn't like their face." This lack of trust and misuse of power is going to lead to vigilantism, which in reality is going to cause a lot more problems and complications. No matter how many times a spider bites you, you will not be able to cling to walls. Trust me on that. Laws like this take away constitutional rights and put us at risk for heading down a dystopian path. I'm not saying I'm for people selling drugs, weapons, or bootleg copy of the Leonardo DiCaprio hit movie The Aviator, but let's make sure cops are following the laws they're supposed to represent. If they aren't going to, then why would anybody else? When we think that cops can kill and bang whoever they want because they believe they're above the law, we should be taking away their guns and badges. That's been your fork full of noodles for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I have shows coming up in Indiana and Ohio, and I will be in this year's Capitol Fringe in Washington, D.C. in July. So if you're in the area, come check out those shows, and you can find out details at ramennoodlescomedy.com. And if you want some exclusive stand-up comedy content and fork full of noodles, you can subscribe to my Bandcamp at ramennoodlescomedy.bandcamp.com. And if you would like to support and donate to DIY touring, video series, and podcasting that I'm doing, you can donate to my Patreon at patreon.com/KrishMohanHaha. And be sure to check out my new podcast, Taboo Table Talk, available on Stitcher, Libsyn, and iTunes. Thanks for getting into it.